Welcome to Baggies Out. Today we are in Indianola, Iowa at the National Balloon Classic. I'm Dieter Henbicke and with me is Karen Wells. Coverage of this event is presented by our wonderful patrons. This is going to be tasks 1 through 3. Task 1 is a fly-in task. Karen, can you tell us what a fly-in task is?
Absolutely, Dieter. A fly-in task is a task where pilots must launch a mile away from the first X and work the winds to fly over that X and drop their baggie. All 3 targets today are gravity marker drops. Gravity means they cannot throw the baggie from the basket. They must keep their hand inside the basket and release the baggie just from the tail as they come across the target.
And of course, this is going to be a 300-meter MMA, which means that is the scoring area. The maximum length away from the center of the X that you will get a valid score is 300 meters. Here, first pilot across this X is Dom Bareford in this yellow balloon. You can see the baggie is out. That is going to be a decent score, starting us off at 16.83 feet.
Next into the field, we have Bubba Cliver in the black with the pink, yellow, blue, and green. As he's approaching, you can see how he's flying the balloon, and he has his other hand holding that baggie until he was ready to drop it right there, with a great score of 26.13 feet.
And there are going to be quite a few scores here on this X, as there are over 100 competitors. Now, Chris Cliver, the next one over this target, going a little bit slower. This should be a really good drop. See what they're going to be able to do. 2.67 feet currently. That is the score to beat. Now Bill Smith also just creeping over this X.
You can see that Bill is in a triangle-shaped basket. That would be a Firefly basket.
And there we go. Just a little bit off the ground, 18.13 feet. And of course, the closer you are to the ground, the harder it is for the wind to really take it, as Corey Bloom quite high, dropping an 80.79 feet there for Corey Bloom.
Next, coming into the target, we have Troy Animas in the yellow balloon. He's coming over quite high as well. You're going to want to work the winds and drop it, making sure you get the correct angle to get as close as you can to the center of that X. Troy with a 57.33 feet.
Now, Paul Petrin, that green-blue balloon here. You can see him looking over the basket, seeing where they want to drop the baggie as the baggie is out. A little bit further out from the legs of the X, 28.67 feet.
Here you can see several balloons coming into the target working. We have a Herzl. We have Joe Herzl coming in. Behind him you can see Patrick Cloyd and Nick Donner in the background. Mark Harris off to the left. To the left of Mark with the mustache is Zarek Wells. Approaching the target with the Texas Racer right here is Joe Herzl. You can see he's making a low approach, coming directly over the X.
And you can see him working both the vent in the top of the balloon right there, trying to vent to make sure that he doesn't go up too high, and burning, really trying to get control of the balloon to get the pass that he wants. You can see almost stalling out a little bit right there, Patrick in that red, white, and blue balloon here, coming over almost faster. We'll see who gets their baggie out first. Joe has the baggie maybe looking for a little bit closer, but this might be as close as Joe's going to get here on this. That is a baggie from a little higher up. Joe still hasn't released. But nope, there it is. 83.25 feet as Patrick Cloyd, the other red, white, and blue balloon here, crossing over the target. Should be a bit better of a pass. There, another baggie from way up high. Patrick just creeping over this target. He's going to be really happy with this score. Doesn't look like it'll be right over the center, but it'll be very close. You can see these pilots burning, looking at the ground, deciding where to throw. Patrick, 22.21 feet. Jeremy Rubin in that green, black, and pink balloon.
You can see how they make small burn adjustments to change their altitude to get the correct wind to come over the target. This target is on a hill, slightly sloped, which can change the wind pattern as they come across.
Jeremy climbing up here, trying to maybe get a little bit more of that wind that he wants. So baggy is out, 56.38 feet. So another Herzl is approaching. It is going to be Rhett. Baggy is out for him. 7.33 feet, even though it's thrown from or dropped from above. That was a good drop.
Next over the target is Aaron Polsky. Let's see what Aaron does. Baggy is out. Aaron's score of 20.33 feet. Great job, Aaron.
Jeremy King here has just been floating kind of off to the side, deciding that's as close as they're going to get. 83 feet as Lucas right behind Jeremy with 107 feet on that drop.
Coming into the target now, you can see Grant Pfeiffer in the rainbow balloon with the slight diagonal across the equator, or the middle of the balloon. Behind him, we have Brandon Bloom in the blue balloon.
At Grant here, looks like everyone is being pushed slightly to the other side of the X from where the camera is. We'll see if anyone past this group is going to be able to correct for that wind pattern. It's Grant. So we can see also just kind of stalling out right above the ground right there. All of the pilots have been doing that, which makes her really good, really accurate throws. As Grant Pfeiffer releases 71.13 feet there.
We have several coming in. You can see Brandon Heaven off behind Grant and Brandon with the white squares and the black squares. And up above to the top of your screen in the Libby balloon would be Eric Martins with Steve Jones in the yellow right behind.
Eric Martins here in that Libby balloon. Should get a good pass here. See what they're going to be able to do. That is two baggies out right there. 24.58 feet for Eric Martins. Jason Jones, I believe, in that red-pink balloon. There we could see a different baggy color. I don't know if that was an accident or what, or I don't even know who dropped that, but Jason Jones, baggy is out. 18.67 feet. He'll be quite happy with that score.
Chris Reinhardt coming in now.
See what they're going to be able to do. Two different balloons coming in.
Directly in front of you, you have Kelly Keller. She's in the orange, white, and yellow spiral balloon. Kelly is one of our female pilots that qualified for the Women's World Competition in Australia.
So looks like a pretty good pass, and it is 1.58 feet. Kelly's going to be very happy with that. I think second place so far on this target on task number 1.
Joey Strutz up high. Right behind Joey is Blake Aldridge and Leroy Clare.
Joey Strutz, his baggie is out. 56 feet, a decent score for him. As Brandon Heaven found a wind that no one else seems to be finding, crossing in a different direction. That should be a really good pass for him. 9.79 feet. Brandon will be very happy with that.
Leroy, baggy out. 35.96 feet for Leroy.
That will wrap it up here for task number 1. Kelly Keller there in first place with a score of 1,000 points, with Chris Cliver right behind at 996 and Rhett Hartzell at 980. Very tight pack up in the top 10 with Nick Donner and Richard Sabin. They're tied for 4th with 973. Task 2 is going to be a judge-declared goal. So what is a judge-declared goal, Karen?
A judge declared goal is one where pilots are given a list of targets, and your event director is going to pick one of those targets for you to fly to. So you have a list, and it's going to be one from the list. You still have to launch a mile away or work your way to get into that target.
Yeah, and as you can see, just a group of balloons here are working their way towards this task number 2. As a lot of times in these competitions, we kind of develop a follow the leader. If you're the first ones off from the ground, you will be the first ones to these targets. As Dom Bareford, our first pilot from task 1, also looks like the first pilot for task 2.
This judge declared goal has a 1,000-foot MMA, or distance from the center of the X to which they can be scored.
And Dom, 17.96. Really good first score.
Next over the target is Bubba Cliver, number 52.
Looks like the winds may have picked up a little bit. So these balloons are crossing this task number 2 a little bit faster than that really slow creeping pace that we saw in task number 1.
Yes, winds are picking up. Looks to be like Bubba's in a Kubitschek balloon. Looks like a new Kubitschek.
Let's see what they're going to be able to do here on task number 2. And the baggie is out. 10.5 feet. Going to be quite happy with that one. Bill Smith here. In a round balloon. A little bit odd to see a round balloon in these competitions, but we'll see what they're going to be able to do. A good pilot will be able to get to the target, get a good score, pretty much no matter what. So Bill Smith, 183.58 feet.
Next over the target, we have Al Nels.
Let's see what they're going to be able to do with this as well. All right. Al crossing over the target, should be now looking at the target, deciding when to throw. Oh, and already had that baggie kind of over the edge of the basket, and there we go, 18.5 feet.
This target is also a gravity marker drop. All 3 targets today are going to be gravity marker drops. Dieter, can you tell us a little bit about that gravity?
Yeah, so the gravity marker drop is much more pilot skill to get the balloon exactly over the target. As we can see, Corey Bloom doing just that. As the gravity marker, you're not allowed to throw it. You have to drop it from the edge of the basket, just like that. 17.83 feet for Corey Bloom. Waving to the camera. And that is different than a free marker drop, where you are able to wind up the baggie or baseball throw it, whichever your preference is, and get a little bit more distance. So if you are just barely on the edge of the field, you can really wing the baggie to get closer, or if you're closer also to the center of the X, Joe Zavada there, 11.04 feet. I think that is the score to beat right there. But if you're closer to the target, also if you just nail it right into the center with the baseball throw, you're going to have a better score than dropping it out of the basket because of the momentum. And Nick Donner there, 53.42 feet. Looks like he might have been able to get a better pass, but that's what they're deciding to do.
Next in, we have Paul Petrin coming over the target now. Baggie is out.
And dropped.
Great score.
7.58 feet. I think that's now first place.
Next up is Brandon Bloom in the blue balloon. You can see how he's descending down to the target.
And there is quite a steep penalty if you hit the ground. 0.21 feet. Brandon Bloom. Very good drop right there.
Here comes Johnny Petrin over the target now.
All right, let's see what Johnny is going to be able to do. This looks like a really good pass. 2.38. Not quite as good as that 0.28, but I'm sure he'll be happy with that.
Eric Martins. You can see how the balloon is a little bit softer. You have the material loose. He is descending quickly into that target.
And then burning to make sure that he doesn't hit the ground. 33.75 feet is the score for Eric. And Rhett screaming in there. Both descending quickly and seems to just be moving quicker as well. Dropping from fairly high up, but 11.54 feet. And already stopped their descent to move on to task 3 is Lucas Hartzell. Right behind. You can see the baggie over the edge, and it's out. $35.83 feet.
Next up above, we have Steve Jones. Steve Jones is a national champion, or past national champion. 34.96 feet.
Next, Alan Anderson. Baggie is dropped, and 12.33 feet. I've only seen a couple of pilots here really nail this target. Everyone else has been 10 to 15.
Brandon Heaven here.
From quite a distance. 165.25 feet.
That yellow balloon there was Benji Clemens.
As we see our next group of pilots coming into this target. See which one of them gets there first. Oh, an overhead shot. Here, Gary Haynes. That nice rainbow balloon.
We're looking for the baggie. Baggie out.
The wind taking it a little bit. 49.08 feet. Decent score there. Zarek Wells. The yellow mustache balloon. It's the next one to come over the target. From a slightly different angle than what we've been seeing some of the other pilots. But still 33.33 feet. Fairly competitive with the rest of the group that we've seen. So we're seeing just some baggies being thrown just into the field, get a score, and move on, try and get a better angle into the task number 3.
Next up is Jason Jones.
Getting the baggie out.
Behind Jason is Joey.
This should be a really good pass here for Jason. Baggie's out. Yep, 3.58 feet. We'll be more than happy with that one.
Dropping in, we have Darcy Hawk. Darcy is one of the local pilots here in Indianola.
The baggie is already out. 30.38 feet. Competitive with the pack there.
Dropping in, you have Joey Seymour.
The baggie already out. So we're seeing possibly as the day goes on, some of these pilots dropping from higher 112.96 feet there for Joe Seymour. So the winds might be getting a little bit squirrely as we see these pilots are going a bit faster. Aaron Gebhardt, 21.9 or 79 feet, still able to get a good score.
Next in, we will see Maddie Jones coming across the screen here on your right. Behind her is Gary Heaven with the Texas Star.
Gary just getting a score into the field. Points are points.
Yes. Maddie is the daughter of Jason Jones in that pink red that we saw come across the target earlier.
That looks like Patrick Cloyd there. Next one over. Should be a good pass, 15.33 feet, as the speeds here definitely have picked up as the day has gone on.
Up above, we have Bruce Wood. Bruce Wood is our current national champion. He's out of Colorado.
47.25 feet. Throwing from a little bit of a height there.
Tom Rickey coming in here in this Firefly triangle basket.
Let's see what they're going to be able to do. And scoring here works based on proximity to the X. So if nobody gets right on the X, if the top score is 50, that is 1,000 points. And then it decreases from there. So depending on how many scores there are, Jeremy King, they're 48.42 feet. Depending on how many scores there are, you really just want to get as close to the X as possible, but any score is better than a 0. Grant Pfeiffer, 53.67.
Grant Pfeiffer is here competing with his sister, Holly Pfeiffer. They have a friendly competition going on.
Al Appenzeller, they're 47.17 feet.
John Shelton.
You can see the baggie hanging over the edge of the basket. And it is out. .46 feet there. Seems as this morning goes on, we are getting a little bit further out in these scores. Christine Birch, our next pilot to come over. 47.13 feet there.
The more consistent winds tend to be more earlier in the morning. As the morning progresses, those wind directions can change as those layers drop down closer to the surface. So you typically want to be up as quick as you can so that you can be in those more consistent winds.
But there, Jamie Homan, 12 feet there. They'll be happy with that score. Now Jeff Ashworth coming over.
Jeff Ashworth is out of New Mexico.
That's looking like a really good pass for Jeff. 30.17 feet. Camera deceived me a little bit.
Randy Stone in the round balloon. Can we see the baggie?
Yep,
and
there's
baggie
the
out.
baggie. Dropping from quite an elevation, you really don't want to do that because the wind can take it. You want to be right over the X so that you can drop it exactly where you want it. The wind can't move it that much. Mark Harris, the next one. Baggie is out. 132 feet for Mark.
Next in, we have Rob Nutting in the KOA balloon. You can see that baggie. He's already ready to go.
That's going to be a pretty good pass, it looks like. 14.83 feet, just outside the legs of the X, it looks like.
Up above, we have Dale Domer.
Dale Domer here. This rainbow balloon. Baggie is out. Looks like the wind is taking it a little bit. It's going to be 117.38 feet for Dale.
Each task is designed a different color of baggie. You can see here at this task they were to throw a yellow baggie. If they were to throw a different color baggie on accident, it would be a penalty.
And here we can see the final scores for task number 2. Brandon Bloom there at 1,000 points, 0.21 feet for Brandon. Johnny Petrin in second with 993, and Jason Jones in 990 points for him. So we now go to task number 3, which is a hesitation waltz. So on a hesitation waltz, there are 2 different X's in 2 different fields, and it is the pilot's discretion of which X they want to choose to fly to.
It typically depends on the winds. Here we're going to show you a couple of target A, and then you'll see a lot of balloons at target B. And it really depends on what's the best wind pattern for you, where you are in line coming to that target.
So Bubba Cliver here. First one on Hes Waltz A, 40.58 feet. And a lot of the times what we'll see is very similar to what we'll see this morning. Most pilots will go to one of the X's and a couple will go to one of the others. Chris Cliver here, 20.67 feet. We'll be happy with that score. And Randy Stone.
And this is going to be Hes Waltz B. that we're watching now.
51.92 feet, the first score on this Hes Waltz B.
So some of the time you may be the best score on one Hes Waltz, but then when we combine the scores for both of them, it may change the pilot's location and ranking.
Because it just matters how far out you are from the center of the X, and in scoring they are treated as if it was just one X. Here, Corey Bloom nearly touching the ground there.
Nice recovery.
Able to recover.
Looking for a different direction to come right over that X.
206 feet. Just going to get a score on that one.
Next in we have Nick Donner, number 35. And again, this is a gravity drop, meaning they have to have their hand inside the basket when they drop the marker.
23.25 feet for Nick there. A decent score. It's Paul Petrin behind Nick. Good throw. That's going to be the score to beat so far. 4.67 feet for Paul Petrin.
Next behind him, we have Rhett Herzl and Johnny Petrin coming in at the same time.
Johnny Petrin coming in. Probably see Johnny's drop first.
Both baggies are out.
That is Johnny dropping first with Rhett right behind. Johnny with a better score.
16.17 for Johnny.
And Rhett at 44.
Eric Martins.
Next pilot in. Looking to be pushed possibly a little bit further off, but no, 18.5 feet with the pack so far.
Leroy Clare, number 67. And this is our final task for the day. So as the pilots come in, throw their baggie, they're going to be looking for a place to land.
3.83 feet. Super happy with that drop.
Steve Jones in the yellow and green.
And pushed off a little bit. We see multiple baggies being dropped right there.
17 feet.
17 feet. And once the baggies are out here, yep, you are just looking for a place to land. Jeremy Rubin, slightly under 12 feet right there.
Brett Christian, right there in the sun. You'll see him pass through.
I'm a little bit higher up than we've seen. 22.79 feet. Brett will be happy with that score. And as we are waiting for our next little group of pilots, as we can see, everyone is just playing follow the leader, trying to get into this Hes Waltz B. Very few pilots opting for Hes Waltz A.
Next up, we have AJ Nels.
See why they are crouching down is they are grabbing the red line, that vent line connected to the vent at the top of the balloon, trying to get a little bit of hot air out so that they can descend. Al Nels, 27.75 feet.
Jason coming into the target now. You can see they're all coming in quite high and then dropping into the target.
Jason just outside the legs of the X there, 19.42 feet.
Darcy Hawk, 98, coming in the yellow balloon.
You can see the baggie already out. They're 14.38 feet. Darcy will be happy with that score.
Aaron Gebhardt, coming in a lot lower than the pilots we've seen before.
Oh, this one's going to be a really good pass. 12.92 feet.
Great job,
Just
Aaron.
Barely not on the fabric of that X.
Next is Blake Aldridge.
And that
Blake is out of Texas. He's one of our younger pilots here at the event.
dropping from a little bit high, but 14.04 feet.
Behind Blake is Patrick Cloyd, number 62.
Dropping in, but should be able to stop that fall. 8.92 for Patrick. Yep, just smoothing out and climbing out.
Here comes Gary Heaven.
And here, sometimes on these further out, you really need to decide when you want to drop, if you're going to be able to fight it to get back or what. Scary gets 24 feet.
Gary Cass coming in and his balloon red hot, solid red balloon. 24.21 feet for Gary Cass.
Next, Jeremy King. Should have a good pass. 18.67. As you can see, all of these baggies just scattered all around this X.
Grant Pfeiffer.
Right through the sun right there. Also deciding not to vent to get right down to the surface.
29.5 feet for Grant. Dr. Bill Bussey.
Flying with a navigator. One of the very few pilots to do that. Bill will get 184.42 feet.
Richard Sabin. Richard is also out of Texas.
You can see a different angle here, just zooming along really close to the ground, but 15 feet for Richard.
Al Appenzeller coming in.
$167.83 for Al. Now, John Shelton. And these pilots will have to land at these speeds, which they are, of course, very comfortable doing. These are normal racing conditions. John Shelton, 40.42 feet.
Holly Pfeiffer. We saw Grant come in earlier. This is his sister, Holly.
A cherry bomb there on the balloon.
She is also one of our world champion, or not champions, one of our world competitors for the U.S. She will be in Australia.
7.92 feet. Holly going to be near the top with that one. It's Jack Nelson. Our next one to come over. A little bit higher. 87 feet.
Next in is Todd Isley.
Getting that baggie out. You can see from multiple different angles. 56.38 feet for Todd. So you can see a whole cluster, looks like, are right behind Rob Nutting here, the KOA balloon. Getting really close to the ground, exactly what you want to see, is to lay it right on
7.88 feet for Rob. Next we have Adam coming in.
Climbing maybe a little too early there. 38.75 feet.
Dale Domer coming in now, number 15. Baggie's already prepared.
Also flying with a navigator.
You can see as the
61.17 feet there.
You can see as the pilots come in, they are dropping their baggie over the edge, preparing it. Pilots set up their baggies in their baskets differently, and so you can see different techniques for them for having them ready to go as they come across the target. Scott Egerton there with a score of 59 feet.
Kelly Neal in this penguin balloon. Baggie is out. 23.71 feet.
Christine Birch.
A couple of other balloons.
Right there you can see the different wind layers as Christine is going one direction and the balloon above her is going a different.
Here the baggie thrown or dropped from quite a distance, but still getting a decent score of 32.42 feet. Pretty much right in the middle of the pack for what we've seen.
Matt Fenster.
Dropping that. 15.75 feet. Casey Schwemmer in that rainbow balloon.
Casey is out of Kansas.
Dropping that one at 101.83 feet. With that, I believe it is And here are the results for task number 3. Leroy Claire in first place with 1,000 points, 3.83 feet. Paul Petrin in second, 994 score there. And Rob Nutting and Holly Pfeiffer tied for third with 970 points each, a fairly steep drop-off between second and third. And here are the overalls after day number 1. After flight number 1, Paul Petrin in first place with 2,877, an average of 959. Chris Cliver, 2,850 in second place. Patrick Cloyd in third with 2,843. Dominic Bareford in fourth with 2,824. And Jason Jones in fifth with 2,815. Only 62 points behind first place. It's still anyone's game, and there are many more flights to be flown this year. So thank you all for watching Baggies Out. So that you don't miss flight number 2 of the 2023 National Balloon Classic, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you liked this content, be sure to share it with your friends, and sign up for our Patreon so that we can continue to make these videos for you. The link is in the description. If you're interested in sponsoring a video, write your contact on a baggie and drop it from a balloon into our website, and we'll get back to you. Until next time, see you at the launch site.